Today we're going to start with section 11.6 talking about spheres. The two formulas for a sphere are actually on your formula sheet. The surface area is 4 pi r squared and the volume is 4/3 pi r cubed. So let's go ahead and use these formulas to find the radius, the surface area, and the volume. So first off, the radius of this sphere is 6 from the center out. So the radius is very similar to a circle. It's the same thing for a sphere. Now for the surface area, it's going to be 4 pi times 6 squared. I'm going to keep everything in terms of pi because that's just the way I do it. So 6 squared, 36 times 4 gives you 144 pi. And that is in terms of pi, our exact answer. If you want to put it in decimal, by all means, go for it. For the volume, it's 4/3 pi 6 cubed. Okay, so do the 6 cubed first and then multiply by 4/3. You should get 288 pi, and I'm keeping it in terms of pi once again. So why don't you try the next one on your own. 22 is the diameter. That's the whole length from end to end for the sphere. All right, so let's take a look and see how you did for the sphere with 22 diameter. Radius is 11. You should have gotten, you have to use the 11, not the 22. 484 pi for your surface area. And 1774, and I rounded to 0.7 and kept it in terms of pi, but you don't have to. All right, so this one gives us actually the volume as 36 pi, and we have to work backwards in the formula to find the radius, and then we're going to solve for the surface area. So, using the volume formula, 36 pi equals 4/3 pi and r cubed. Now, what I always tell you to do, if there's pi on both sides, go ahead and divide out both sides by pi. It won't always have a pi in the volume, but this time it does, so we can cancel this out to leave us with 36 equals 4/3 r cubed. So we got to get r by itself. To get rid of the 4/3, we can multiply by the reciprocal on both sides of 3/4. So take 36 and multiply it by 3/4, and you should get 27 in your calculator. And that cancels out on this side, and now we have r cubed. To get rid of the cube, we do something called the cube root. Okay, it's on your calculator. If you hit the math button and then number 4 will bring up the cube root. So to take the cube root of 27, you should get r to equal 3. So that is the radius as 3. So now to solve for the surface area, we just simply do 4 pi. Our radius is 3 squared. And you should get 36 pi for your surface area. Go ahead and try this next one on your own. They want you to find the radius. They give you the volume is 2,304 pi. All right, so here's the work. You should have gotten your radius to be 12. So that means when we plug it back in, our surface area should be 576 pi. So there's all the work to find the radius. All right, this time it actually gives us the surface area is 110.25 pi. So we're going to start there. So now this time we're going to set that equal to the surface area formula, which is 4 pi r squared. So we need to solve for r first. Once again, you can divide out by pi. Okay, those will cancel out. So you get 110.25 equals 4r squared. Divide out by 4. And you get 27.5625 equals r squared, and you should know how to get rid of the square. It's just the square root. So now you should get the radius to be 5.25, which then makes the diameter 10.5 because we are going to double the radius to get the diameter. Now, since we have the radius, we can do our volume. 4/3 pi, radius 5.25 cubed. So when you do that, you should get 192.9375 pi. All right, the second section we're talking about is going to be area and volume of similar solids. So we did the perimeter and area already, but you can also do scale factor, surface area ratio, and volume. So once again, I do scale factor as SF. Surface area is still AR. Volume now is going to be VR. Here are our rules. So to go from scale factor to the surface area ratio, we square it. To get to the volume ratio, we have to cube it. So let's go ahead and fill in this chart first. So if our scale factor is 2 to 1, our surface area ratio is 4 to 1. And now remember, you got to cube the scale factor. You do not cube the surface area. So this will be 8 to 1. Square, so you do 4 to 9. Cube it, and you get 8 to 27. Always go back to the scale factor, okay? So now, if we're started with the volume ratio, we have to take the cube of that. So the cube root of 27 is 3. The cube root of 64 is 4. Now, to get to the area, we're going to square that and do 9 to 16. If they start with the area ratio, we have to go backwards. So we're just taking the square root, which will give us 9 to 5. Now, to get to the volume, you have to cube 9, which gives you 729, and cube 5, which gives you 125. Okay, so those are the scale factor, area ratio, volume ratio. So first, it's just asking us which ones are similar. So you're still going to set up a scale factor, no matter if it's a 3-dimensional shape or a 2-dimensional shape. So go ahead and see if you can figure out which two are similar with the same scale factor, and then tell me what the scale factor is. Hopefully, you found that it's cone 1 and cone 3. Because when you do 20 to 30, that equals 30 to 45. Okay? So they're similar. So the scale factor is 2 to 3. That is an SOL style question where you had to choose. Alright, so this next one gives us the volume. We're trying to do the scale factor. So they give you the volume of one cone is 108 pi to 256 pi. Well, remember, we're going to work backwards to the scale factor. Well, first off, we're going to simplify this because 108 is not a perfect cube root. So when you simplify 108 to 256, you get 27 over 64. So now I can take the cube root of these two numbers to work backwards for our scale factor. And we get 3 to 4 when you do that in your calculator. And let's go ahead and just find the area ratio. Remember, you square it, so you get 9 to 16. Okay? So go ahead and see if you can find this one on your own. S stands for surface area. Sometimes you will see that instead of SA, but S is surface area. All right, and this is what you should have gotten. You start here with our area ratio, the 288 to 128, and I just simplified that to 9 over 4. And then remember, you have to square root it to get the scale factor. Then you cube this to get the volume ratio. Okay? Let's do an application. It says that the scale factor is 2 to 5. So they give us the scale factor from cylinder A to B is 2 to 5. They also give us the cylinder A, surface area equals 96 pi, and they give us the volume equals 128 pi. They want us to find the surface area of B and the volume of B. Well, we got to figure out our area and volume ratios first. So let's go ahead and do that. And when you square it, you should get 4 to 25. And when you cube it, you should get 8 to 125. So now, if you want to find the surface area, okay, if we're going to solve for x, we're going to use the area ratio. 4 to 25 should equal 96 pi to x. And go ahead and cross multiply. What I'm going to do is keep it in terms of pi, so I'm just going to multiply my numbers. 96 times 25 and then divide by 4, which gives you x equals 600 pi. So that's the surface area of B. If we want to find the volume of B, we're going to use the volume ratio. 8 to 125 equals 128 pi to y. So when you cross multiply this, you should get 2,000 pi as your y. Choose the right ratio. All right, our last example today is a word problem. It says a bottle that is 10 inches high. So if you just have shape here, this is 10 inches high. Compared, it holds 34 ounces of milk. Okay? So the sandwich shop is shaped just like this milk bottle. If you can't see, it says 480 inches high. So it has 480 inches, but you're trying to find how many ounces this will hold. Well, let's first find our scale factor. Remember, scale factor is side length ratio, okay? Well, the side length of the small bottle is 10, the side length of the other is 480. If you go ahead and simplify that, you get 1 to 48. That's our scale factor. That means if we square it, our area ratio is 1 to 2,304. And if we cube 48, we get a large number. It's 1 to 110,592. So those are our ratios. Well, if we're trying to figure out how many ounces it could hold, that's actually speaking about volume. So we're going to use the volume ratio to figure this out. So go ahead and set up your proportion. We know that this one holds 34, so I'm going to put 34 on the top. And we're trying to find what the sandwich shop would hold. You cross multiply this, and you should get a large number, like this to be your x, but it asks to the nearest 1,000. Okay, so when you look at this, the nearest 1,000, when you round correctly, will be a number like this, and it is to the ounces. So there we go. Thanks for watching.